Hey, what's good? It's your girl FaithyJ, aka Nikkita Lyons. Welcome to the Lyons Den podcast.
I've been letting y'all have it. Your spotlight time is done. Your spotlight time is done. Feel like a champion. I am a champion. I will be champion.
What is going on, you beautiful people? Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. It's your girl, FaithyJ, aka Nikkita Lyons. And I'm so happy to be here with you. First, before we get started, you know the vibes. Let's take a deep breath. Yes, power centers in the breath. And I want you to let's just shake out your body real quick, moving that energy around. Sometimes, I actually had this thought last night. I feel like we're always in fight or flight mode, right? We're always, when we're out there going to work, just driving, we're always like all tensed up. I'll catch myself when I'm driving. My shoulders are like this. We got to just, like, woosah, hakuna matata, all right? We got to just relax a little bit sometimes and just be. I think we forget to do that. And I think we forget to kind of look around sometimes. Look at the nature that's surrounding us and the beautiful sights and buildings. We got to take a second to be human beings and not human doings. Okay, so let's get into it. Today, we're going to be talking about fear. Now, I know you've all heard the acronym of fear, false evidence appearing real, right? It is not real. Fear is, just like we talked about in our last episode, fear is an experience of thoughts that you're simply just having and experiencing. You are not your thoughts and you are not your fear. Therefore, it's up to you and your mind to be able to change that and control it. Now, it's a process. It's not just easy to snap out of it. I totally get that. It takes work. It takes time and patience and compassion with yourself. But we got to try to flip that false evidence appearing real into face everything and rise. So what I mean by that is, regardless if you're afraid, because it's totally normal, the point is just to be brave. Still do it even though you're afraid, and then after you do it, you'll be like, oh shoot, I did it, and that feeling is so rewarding. So I'd like to go and dive into my injury, for example. I may have a slight fear now of how I'm moving, getting back in the ring. How am I going to move more strategically to where your girl Nikkita gonna be all right? But you know what? I understand that that's all in my mind, and it's all about my preparation. That's another subject that I love to dive into a little bit, and this is our preparation. So yeah, when it comes to fear, I'm always going to come back to this. Allow yourself to feel it. Allow yourself to experience it, and do your best to separate yourself from that thought. Allow that thought to happen, and then we do around here. Tell yourself, okay, I acknowledge my fear. Maybe dive into why am I afraid of this? Is there something within my past that has happened to make me be afraid of this? And if you can think of something, then you're really getting down into the root of what is going on in your mind. And that way, now you know what it is. Now you can face it. So it's really important to understand yourself and know yourself. And I know sometimes it could be difficult to just sit with yourself and listen to your own thoughts. Don't you ever think about that? It's kind of crazy. Like when you're just sitting there and you're having thoughts and like, wait, at least this is just for me. I don't know about you guys, but I'll have like conversations with myself in my head. And I don't know if that's because I was the only child or what, but all those thoughts that you have, if this happens to you, know you're not alone and you're not the only one who goes through it. Allow all those thoughts to happen and push through them. I want to tell you about an experience of fear that I had when I believe was the start of my first big injury. Now, you have to keep in mind, injuries happen slowly. Even though we don't realize sometimes, it could be a buildup to that big final breaking point. So for me, this was my right knee last year, 2022. Sorry, lost track of time because time is an illusion. Anyway, back to the point. Your girl had a slow buildup with this knee being torn. I think that it just over time, over the years, dancing since I was 4, doing martial arts, it's a lot on the body. And all my athletes out there and people who are active and move around, like our bodies go through it. And I remember the time when I was like, 12, 13, well, just even younger than that, throughout my teenage years and stuff. Oh, I'm going to feel like this forever. Yeah, I'm always going to feel like this. I'm always going to just feel like a blossoming flower of joy in my joints. But really, what I've been learning is that in order to keep that, your recovery and the way you prepare and your rest is really what saves you. So I think, again, this comes back to the just being and listening to our body instead of, it can be so hectic running around trying to get everything done. And then all of a sudden we forget about ourselves. We forget about coming back to ourselves and listening to our body and listening to what we need in that moment, like physically. So yeah, I think that slow buildup for that knee, definitely. I think I'm pretty sure I was wrestling on it for a good month with it already, And then once I got attacked in the parking lot by Blair Davenport, girl, I'm not done with you, but you got away for now, okay? I think up until then, that it was just a buildup until that initial official tear. So that injury process and recovery and rehab process was extremely intense. If you haven't been through a big knee injury, it's sometimes feels hard to explain all of the effects that it makes on a person. And it's a beautiful thing though, because it forces you to face yourself, face your fears. And I'm actually extremely grateful for that process because, like I mentioned in our last episode, if something doesn't work out for you, if a door is being closed in your face, it's just leading you to a bigger, better journey and a bigger, better door that makes sense for you. So I realized over time, throughout those 9-10 months, I got to kind of take a step back. And instead of learning in the ring, I got to learn outside of the ring. And like I said, heal in other different ways. I got to realize who was good to be in my life and who, maybe gotta rearrange a couple things. I think I mentioned that in my last episode too. It's really important who you surround yourself with. If you're surrounded by people who are also in fear, and here's the key, they don't want to change or they don't want to grow, they're afraid of growth, which I get it. It can be scary, but you gotta face everything and rise, baby. You gotta face everything and rise regardless, because it's scary staying the same. That's what's scary. Would you rather just stay exactly where you are, never change, never evolve? Or would you rather make it to the other side of the mountain, we'll say, and see the beautiful pot of gold over there? And that's totally a metaphor. I mean, shoot, if you do find a mountain with a pot of gold, cool. But what I mean is your best version, your best self, your best life that you can build. So I think that sounds much better than just staying the same place. So this forced me to grow and face my fears. And guess what? We got a Pounce Back Part 2. So I thought I was done with that, but God in the universe said, never mind. We're going to bring it back and give it to you on the other leg. So for those of you who don't know, This second knee happened in my last match, which was in this past January 2024. Ironically, by the same person who tore the other one. So interesting. It's an interesting like sign, we'll say. And I think it's going to lead to something great. But this one happened not too far into the match, but your girl finished the match. And I will say though, after it happened, I knew exactly the feeling. I was like, damn, I can't believe this just happened. My mind went blank. I thought, how do I even fight? What am I doing? What universe is this? But you gotta pull yourself back in and finish even though you're afraid. Don't stop because you're tired or you're in pain or whatever. You gotta push through, and thank goodness for adrenaline because that definitely got me through it. But I just I just remember that feeling. And now I get to dive even deeper within myself. And now this has given me the opportunity to even do this with you guys. It's given me the opportunity to create more because ultimately, I always say we're right? Multimedia, multidimensional, multi-talented, and skilled. We don't got to put ourselves in a box. This is giving me the opportunity to be able to bring all this juice to the surface and create and become what the Lyons Den, I'm talking about all of us, are meant to become. And it all honestly ties into wrestling. All of it. And I'm extremely excited for this journey. So getting back onto track, and again, just to give a little insight on exactly what happened. Right knee last year tore my meniscus, both lateral and bilateral, I think is the term. Sorry if I got that wrong, but bilateral and lateral meniscus, ACL, partial MCL. So almost everything basically over there was just tired and said, bop. Thankfully, this one was just ACL. Had surgery for both, and I'm just extremely grateful. Shout out to the surgeon, Dr. Osbar. You did that. Shout out to my physical therapy team, Tara. You're doing that. I'm so grateful for everybody that is helping and on the team, the strength coaches, ring coaches, everybody's support. I'm just extremely grateful. Just want to put that out there. But yeah, I just want to give you a little insight on what these went through. And another thing that I think is helping with fear, right, is moving my body. I realized in the midst of not being able to move my body right after surgery, oh man, that was so frustrating. And it made me so grateful to move. It's sometimes the simplest things that we don't realize or take for granted most of the times that really just... You got to be grateful. You got to be in that vibration of gratitude, because when you're grateful, you attract what you truly desire. And I'm not saying, false positivity or toxic positivity. I'm aware of that. We don't want to, if you're feeling some type of way, I'm not saying like, oh yeah, just be happy all the time and smile. No. Go through those frustrations and complain, let it out, complain to somebody you trust, and then find what you're grateful for. It could be the most simplest thing. Like I said, even walking, waking up in the morning, having running water, having like food on the table, breathing. Like there's so many simple things that I think will switch your mind straight out of fear and into gratitude. Gratitude is that super high vibration that can automatically switch your brain. And it might feel, for some of you, weird and cringy at first. Like, I don't know, like, whatever. But that's okay, because guess what? That's a feeling too. You're allowed to feel all the things. So if you're feeling cringy, trying to think of something to be grateful for, you can be grateful that you're able to feel cringy. yeah, so I think gratitude really helps transition our mind out of that fear mindset, because ain't nobody got time to be living in fear when there's so much beauty out there, beauty and booty out there that we can just be unafraid of. And I think another thing that I've experienced is the fear of success. And I don't know if I'm the only I know I'm not the only person who feels this, because I think sometimes we can create our own mental blocks. And this is something I'm just now really learning about myself, because I don't think I realized it, and I would tell myself like, "Oh, I got it. I'm ready. Let's go." Growing up in the entertainment industry around so many amazing other entertainers and just all of that. And you don't want to compare your journey. I know I mentioned this in the last episode, but y'all, it's the truth. I'm going to keep repeating it till you get it. But we got to release that fear of success. We are ready. You are ready. I am ready. You have to believe. You have to be delusional and believe that what you want is already yours. The power of the mind is extremely, and I can't put enough emphasis on this, what we think we become. I think I also mentioned this in our last episode, but this all ties into fear and how to overcome it. So I believe that if you can see yourself living your dream, you have to feel it. You have to go into that mental astral world and think, okay, when I wake up from a day to day, what am I going to be doing? How am I going to be feeling? What am I going to be looking at? Where am I going to be living? Every detail, try to really visualize that exact setting. And then, okay, after the morning, where am I going to go? What am I going to be doing? Do you want every day to be different, or do you want every day to be routine? I personally believe it's cool to switch it up if you can. Even if you do have go to your job, switch around what you do after you clock out, before you clock in, switch around that routine just to keep it spicy. You're in control of switching your life up. You're in control of how you do your morning routine or your routine before bed. It is good to have consistency with certain self-care things, of course, but what I'm talking about is let's say one day, or try something new. Even if it's just once a week, once every week, if you try something new. You've never gone on a little stroll around the lake before, go on a little stroll around the lake. And you'll be surprised how peaceful and grounded you feel after that. If you've never, taken a dance class, take a cooking class or an art class. That's something that I've really enjoyed doing too, is little art classes, because I'm creative and I can paint a little bit, but it helps with that guidance, and it totally took my mind off of everything. Now, if none of those are your thing, totally get it. But my point is just trying something that you never normally do. And that can also switch up your reality, because now you're taking life into your hands and you're making it happen. So yeah, I think it's extremely important to switch it up and listen to your body, listen to yourself. Breath. When you find yourself being afraid, I keep saying your power center is in your breath. And I can't stress how true that is. Before I go out for a match, for example, I do some qigong, slap myself a little bit, bop, bop, get that energy right. And then I take deep breaths, specifically 7. Why? Don't know. Just feels right. But just taking those breaths regulates what's within your body, and you'll feel a calm energy. You'll feel the peace after you take those deep breaths. And it could be in any situation, before a presentation, before you, even walk on the street. Sometimes, social anxiety, I totally get it. Peopling. let me breathe before I gotta people, So you're not alone in that too, if that's something that you feel. So remember your breath, remember your mind, you're in control. Visualize how you want your life to be, how you want to feel. Something that I do personally that helps me. Now, again, everything I say is simply just suggestions, Do what you want to do, baby boo. Do what you feel in your life. But this is just things that have helped me. I would love if you'd like for me to help you. So every night before bed, some nights are longer than others, but I'll jot down little things throughout my day that I loved that happened, finding the good things that happen. Like even something like, oh, I saw a butterfly today, or I don't know, whatever makes you smile. And then I'll write, I am, example, NXT Women's Champion, right? When we write our goals, we want to write it in the sense of it already being. And there's different affirmations and ways and different phrases that mean different things. So there is I will, I am, I'm going to, things like that. But to me, I think the most powerful one that I've found is the I am. So writing down a few goals, it could be short term or long term, and writing I am I am living in my dream house, which is in, I don't know, Malibu, California. Just throwing out random places. But be specific, write I am. This will get your mind into that state of manifesting your life that you want. Now, going into that sleep state, when you actually go to sleep, what helps me, and I've been doing this for, I don't even know how long, my whole life, basically. I've always listened to peaceful music, peaceful frequencies. 432 hertz is just one example. There's also guided sleep talk downs or meditations. The way I see meditation personally is, praying is talking to whatever higher power that you may believe in, and meditating is listening. Right? So when we pray, we're talking, we're asking, we're being thankful, whatever. We're doing the talking. Meditating is sitting in silence and receiving answers. You'll be surprised how many answers you receive when you quiet your mind down. So yeah, that's what's helped me also overcome fear, because you'll receive certain answers and downloads from, maybe it's also your higher self talking to you. And this is a whole other subject of, I believe that we have multiple versions of ourselves, and our higher self is already a thing, but just in a different dimension. And I think we have access to our higher self. We just have to listen. So yeah, that's what's helped me overcome fear, is breath, meditation, praying, taking it slow for a second after a busy, fast day, and living in gratitude, being in gratitude of even the smallest things. So remember doing that. I'm going to say this acronym one more time for the one time. Fear, false evidence appearing real, but we're switching it to face everything and rise, because we're here to rise. We're here to learn. Everything we go through is simply a learning experience. Even the bad, all the good, all the bad, it's all teaching us something. And once you look at life like that, and again, this is something I've recently realized, is once you separate understanding that the situations that you go through, it's honestly nothing personal. If you just look at it like, oh, okay, this is a lesson, let me see what I can learn out of this. For me, it's helped me switch my perspective and then realize okay, in 5 years, this moment is going to be completely gone and not even really matter, aside from what I take out of it, So I hope that helps ease your stress a little bit. Anything you may be going through, anything you may be facing right now, know that in a year to 5 years or whatever, you're going to be grown from that moment. And that is what's so beautiful about life. We're going through constant experiences, constant up and downs to simply learn and become our best self. And you and I are here doing that together because we're going to constantly evolve, and I'm grateful that I get to evolve with you. So with that being said, I appreciate you so, so much for being here. If you haven't already, check out your girl's album, Rough Cuts. And that's on my website, www.FaithyJ.com. It is being sold on physical CDs, nostalgic vibes, because why not? Why not have music that you can touch and not just listen to? Ooh. Let's use all our senses, baby. And also, it's on all platforms now. It's called Rough Cuts by FaithyJ. Just a slight backstory on this music. This is music that I've been holding on to since recording it during lockdown in COVID. And these are all, like, when I listen to it, I'm like, dang, like, I sound so young to me because I know my evolvement of my artistry, and for so long I just held on to the music, and I have so many more tracks that I just haven't released just out of fear. Whoa, look at that. Look how that tied in. I held on to them out of fear. And we have to let go of what other people think, because guess what? It don't really matter. People's opinions are their business, right? They have every right. Go ahead. Think what you want about me. They can think what they want about you, but ultimately, it's projection. What you see in me is a reflection of you, honey. So, a little side note. But yes, so I held on to that music for so long out of fear, and I finally was like, you know what? F it. I'm calling it Rough Cuts because, yeah, it's a little rough. Nothing on there is super duper mixed and mastered. I think as artists, we are perfectionists, and we're like, we want everything to be perfect. There's always something that we're going to want to improve or make different or whatever. But then I just decided, you know what? That's that dimension of myself. That was my, how old was I? I started recording those when I was maybe 19 years old. I'm 24 now. So years ago, time is flying, but yeah. So years ago, recorded those, finally said, okay, I got this time. My knees are allowing me the time to put this project together and finally just say F it and release it. So if you'd like to go check it out, I'd appreciate you so much. And every song on there is a different genre, depending on your mood. Because again, why put ourselves in a box when we can be the whole world and universe? So go check that out on all platforms. Get that CD. There's also VIP packages, if I have not mentioned that. Comes with signed CD, poster, flash drive, little cute little surprise gifts in there, depending on who it is. Every gift is curated to the customer. So with that being said, stay tuned for more projects coming up. We have so much more to drop, to cover, going from music to the podcast to the all of the above. We're not limiting ourselves, boo. So again, it's your girl FaithyJ, aka Nikkita Lyons. We're here in Hi Hello Labs, the best. And we're signing off. Go roar.